My topic is on selecting a quality journal for academic publications. I was going through the topics for the staff faculty development, and some of the topics are little overlapping. It is mainly because we cannot get rid of those things. For example, indexing is coming separately, but here also, like, you will have indexing. And though it is, some things will be a repetition, I'm sure that this is going to be a very fruitful discussion between both of our side. I'm sure that all of us know this term, publish or perish. Now, this word is, or this sentence is becoming now very popular because all of us know that being in an academic position, all of us are request all we are required to publish certain number of articles in some journals, and mainly we know that these publications are now in many of the colleges, they count on this for our promotions. And if you want to get promoted, you need to publish, and where to publish and how to publish, and how to look for a journal to publish my article is going to be discussed for this whole series of sessions. And we know that when you don't publish in a correct journal, or our research or our work is not getting published, the next thing is perish. It's not that we are going to die, but we are not going to, we are not going to get our promotions on time, or we may not be able to get the job what we want. We may not be able to fulfill their requirement. That's why this word publish or perish has become very famous. And even now, if you take 10 years back or 5 years back, we were not having seminars or workshops like this, but now everybody feels that our work has to be published, our work has to be known to everyone. That's why we are now sitting and discussing about this. And we know why it is important for selecting an appropriate journal for our publication. And mainly, we need to publish our work because it is an opportunity where we can attract the attention of the right people. When you publish, we attract our attention of the right people, and then we know that our work is known to many people also. And suppose we select the journal at the last moment, and this is going to be very, very difficult because all of us know this. So those who got publications know that it is not an easy job to get our articles getting published in well-reputed journals. So that's why we are sitting here to learn why it is important, what criteria we need to go, and what steps we have to take so that our work is getting known to many people. And also why we need to publish is we want our research to stand out. And because we have taken a lot of effort in data collection, and even if you look at your MSc thesis, or those who are doing the PhD, or as a faculty, if you have done some studies, you would have spent a lot of time in data collection and finding time to write your analysis and review of literature discussion. And finally, if it is not published, it's going to be a waste. That's why we know that it's very important that we publish in a very good journal, and how to select this appropriate journal for our publication is going to be our session. And other thing is, and it's a good starting point are the journals that you and your colleagues or mentors use. Suppose, like, you may be thinking, like, no, which journal I need to publish. Maybe you can, as you start for the first time, maybe you can look at journals which your seniors are published, or your teachers are published, or your own colleagues are published. So you have a look at all those journals and see whether my research article is fitting into their journal. And as of this Ulrich Web Global Series Directory, there are about 80,000 academic peer-reviewed English language journals in the globe, out of which 30,000 are mainly classified under medicine and health. So we can't say that we don't have any journal to publish or we don't know journals to publish. There are plenty of journals are available. In December 2016, the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors announced that they have, every time they revise the recommendation for the authors, they have said a growing number of entities are advertising themselves as medical journals, yet do not function as such. They are talking about there are many predatory journals. I'm sure there's a whole session on predatory journals. I have seen the topic is also planned. So the advice to authors was, every author, whoever is publishing, you have a responsibility to evaluate the integrity, the history, the practices, and reputation of the journals to which you submit your manuscripts. That's very, very important. According to the International Committee of Medical Journal, they have recommended. Next thing is, there are certain questions we need to answer before even we start writing. When you say that which journal I will select for my publication, before that, there are certain things, before even you start writing your manuscript, you need to answer certain questions, or you need to have certain clarity in your mind before you start writing. One is, what should go into different sections of the article? That you need to have a clarity, because I'm sure that all of us know that each journal, they have different way of publications. Styling is different and the sections are different. So not that once you write and then look for which journal I will submit. So what is expected is, before even you start writing a manuscript, you need to know which journal you're going to send. Then it is easy for you to write according to the expectations of a journal. Then how should the figures and tables look? It's not that all the journals want the same way of tables and figures. Some journals will want all the tables at the end. Some journals will want side by side, or some journals will not prefer the figures. So we need to know whether the particular journal is asking what it is expected, whether they want only figures or tables, or they want many tables, or they want only one or two tables. All these details we need to collect. Then how do I pitch the importance of my work within the writing? That's very, very important. Then in which journal could I reach the maximum number of readers and the scientific fraternity? That's very important, because after you're doing so much of work, if your research article is not read, your article is read only by few people, then that's no use. If your whatever you are finding out, the finding is not known to many people, that's going to be a waste. So we need to know how many maximum number of readers you can reach with that particular journal, what you're planning to select. Then how well could it reach the other researchers for reference to do a better research? This is also very important, that once we do certain kind of a research and publish a manuscript, and it is not that it should stop only with our work, it should continue. For example, like, if something is done in one smaller hospital, it can be done in a bigger scale. It can be a long-term study also. So we need to know whether whatever we are trying to publish, whether it's going to reach. So we need to select a journal which is going to reach many people, not the journal which is going to sit only in your place or in your town. Then in which journal there are few chances for rejection. We need to have a study and say, that there are very good journals, the rejection rates are very high because we don't meet their expectations. So we have to know which are the journals the rejection rates are very few, and we need to work on to achieve those criteria. And then what will be the period of waiting to see the research in the journal thing? That is waiting period also. It's very important. Before you select a particular journal, you need to know why we need to see the waiting period is. Suppose if you are going to publish an article for your promotion and the waiting period is very long time, you need to know how long your article is going to be taken to publish. See, and please, in this aspect, that's why we need to avoid predatory journals, that are journals which publish your article within 2 days or 3 days, 5 days, or even 1 week they publish. That we need to avoid. Same time, we have to take care of those things also. But Otherwise, if you know that you're due for promotion in another 1 year, or you're due for promotion another 2 years, you know that you need to publish a manuscript. So you need to see that if I send to this particular journal, whether my article or my work will be published before my time for my promotion. That is very, very important, because, all of us sitting here, at one point or the other, most of us, we do write manuscripts, people to know, and most of it we write because we need to have a promotion. That has become now mandatory for most of the colleges. And then, will the journal in which I publish have the reach to my target audience, whether I've reached, whether whatever the particular journal I am writing, the manuscript, whether it can be a research study, or even if you take a concept article, whether it will reach the target audience. That is very, very important. Then how will I know the journal which I publish is legitimate? That's a very important question, because we cannot publish in journals which is there, every journal. Then we have to have only certain number of journals are only legitimate journals we have. And especially in nursing also, we have to be very clear now, because lot of mushrooming of lot of journals are now coming up. We need to know which journal we need to select to put our work properly. Then, will the journal I publish help to develop my career? That's very, very important. Not just for the sake of getting my promotion, I publish. That's not, also should not be our attitude. Whether publishing my article, whether so many people will read, and whether they will get back to me, or whether I will have a collaboration with the other person who is interested in the same aspect of mine, then we do it. Can the funding opportunities increase or decrease by publishing my research in a particular journal? This is mainly if you're planning for a funding on a bigger scale, we need to think of a journal where your funding opportunity increases. This is the very important thing. And now coming to the important thing. So our topic is how to selecting a journal for our publication, how to select a right journal for publication. There are various factors are involved when you select a journal. That's where one thing is you need to know the aims and scope of the journal. That is, aims and scope is, if you look at the home page of any journal, there is a section will be titled called, they will be giving a write-up on about the journal or something similar to that. So you need to browse thoroughly and find out the particular section whether your scope of your study match the particular journal. So that's very important. Suppose if you're writing something about a pediatric part of a study or a case study, or some kind of research related to pediatrics, you have to select journals which are only related to pediatrics, so that pediatric nursing people or pediatricians will read. You cannot select a journal which is a management journal or education journal, not education, the journal which is read by only by a psychiatrist or by OBG people, that kind of a thing, because your work is not going to be appreciated. That's one thing. And second thing is, only if the aim of the journal is in line with your topic and related to your subject, it could be shortlisted. What they say is, you have 2, 3, 4 journals. It's not that you select one journal and you write to that particular journal. So you select 3, 4 journals for your publication. If one is not, one journal is not accepting, go to the second journal. That's what, we cannot expect, immediately, first time they are going to publish your article, whatever the manuscripts. To have further confirmation of the journal, it is advisable to read some of the abstracts of the journal publication, or even the whole article. You can go through a particular journal. If you want to publish in, for example, I can say that I'm from psychiatry. If I want to publish in British Journal of Psychiatry or Archives of Psychiatric Nursing, I have to see what type of an abstract they have, what type of a article they publish. So I need to go through and read and see whether my manuscript is going to match their publication, all this scope of the journal. Then only it is easy for us to publish in that particular journal. So selecting a journal, the first thing is you need to know the aim and scope of the journal, what you're selecting. The second thing, the journal impact factor. I'm sure that you're going to have a separate section on journal impact factor, but still I want to say that journal impact factor is still the default method to analyze the quality. If you want to know the journal is a reputed journal or a good journal, you see the impact factor of the journal. So when you say impact factor, it measures it reflects the average number of citations of an article published in a journal in a given time period. And usually, impact factor for journals are calculated if they are minimum 3 years old. You cannot have impact for a new journal, because new journal, just published journal, nobody is going to read and cite the article. So to wait for the particular article in a journal to be cited, you need to have 3 years. So it's there are some high impact factor journals, all of us know, like Lancet, Nature Reviews, Molecular Cell Biology. These are very high impact factor journals are there, but there are journals which low, but that does not mean that if the impact factor is low, we cannot publish, because some things and all of us know that nursing journals are not very many and it's not coming up. And we can see the impact factor, a good impact factor, and then publish. That's very important. So usually a simple thing is like how an impact factor is calculated. They see the total number of times the articles were cited during the 2 years in a particular journal. How many times the article were published, cited in other journals, divided by the total number of citable articles in the journal during those 2 years, gives the impact factor for a particular year. This is how they calculate impact factor. So the impact factor of journal for 1 year, it's not going to be same the next year. It is going to change. So we need to be thorough. Then third thing is indexing. We have to now see whether the particular journal is indexed journal. So indexation of this journal is considered a reflection of its quality. And proper indexing of journals adds to the reputation in terms of broad coverage on a reputed database. And also it gives more value and does not mean that non-indexed are bad, because it's very difficult. For example, like I put like Medline, PubMed, Scopus, these are indexed ones. Even some journals are UGC care listed journals. It does not mean that non-indexed journals are bad. But if you want to have a very good publicity for your journal, then you select a journal which are indexed so that it will reach many people and it is in the database and you will see. But and also to have an indexed journal, the journal itself has to meet many criteria. They will see the quality of the paper, they will see the review process, they will see all this criteria. There are various criteria, because I know in our college also we have a Indian Journal of Nursing, continuing nursing education. And it is now, we are now trying to go for Scopus, but it is not Scopus index, but it is in the UGC care list. And that's why it is very difficult to meet the criteria. They want this many external peer reviewers. So even the journals, they have to now see. And one thing is what I advise all of you is, and try to find a journal which is indexed. Then you go for a non-indexed journals. And it will be good like the index journal, so that you will reach maximum number of people. And next is peer-reviewed journal. Why we go for a peer? We need to go for a peer-reviewed journalist. And articles published in peer-reviewed journals enjoy a great respect among the academic and science fraternity. Why it is this? Suppose if you write and send an article and it is reviewed by somebody, and this particular peer, whoever is reviewing, they will give you the idea whether to improve our quality. And also we will know that where we lack. That's very important. When somebody is commenting on our manuscripts and article, we know where we stand also. So that's why we say that peer-reviewed journals are very good, and it functions to encourage authors to meet the accepted high standards in their own discipline. And also to control the dissemination of research data to ensure that unwanted, unacceptable things are not conveyed to the audience. And also our personal views are not published, because when we write something, we may not even know that what we are written sometimes. So if you give it to another person to see, the person will be able to point out and see what you have written is not conveying the meaning what you are trying to say. So that's why we need to have a peer-reviewed journal. Next. So another other important factor which we have to consider in selecting a journal is publishing time or the processing time. So whether the particular journal I'm selecting, how long they take to publish. And a good manuscript on an average, they say 9 to 12 months. But some journals, some journals take even lesser than that. They say 6 weeks or 12 weeks. It depends on each journal. For example, and if the journal is published every 3 months, then the publication, the processing time will be less. If the journal is published for twice a year, then it may take some amount of time. So you need to know, usually if I send this article to this particular journal, how long it is going to take. If you don't hear from the editor-in-chief, you can email and ask what is the stand of your article. And the more they publish, the lesser the time they take. All of us know this. And according to your timeline, you can choose the journal. Suppose we know that this article need to be known to many people, and it's not going to be needed for your promotion and things. So you can wait for a good journal. You can send it to a good journal, and you can wait for some time so that you will publish your article or manuscript in a reputed journal. Then you need to know the acceptance and rejection rate of a journal when you select a journal for your publication, because check for acceptance rate of the journal on the website, and their lower acceptance rate confirms their worthiness. This is very, very important. This is also, you can find out whether the journal is a predatory one or a very good one. But most of the journals do not post the acceptance rates if you look into the thing, because they don't want to publish all these things. And the optimum time limit for rejection, many of the articles says is it's about 4 to 6 weeks. You need to hear from the editor-in-chief that whether your article is rejected or you need to have some kind of a correction, all those things. Then the rejection rates range from 30 to 90%. So don't get upset if your articles are rejected. When you write and send it for the first time, don't get upset, because we have to try, and so that we can improve on it. So the journals with the high standards, they have a rejection rate of 90%, because they expect a lot of things from us. And if you don't keep up those standards, then we are going to get rejected. So it's not that once you write and send, you're going to be published. Then reach of your journal. And this we said that it is imperative for your article to reach a broad and global audience. So check the journals for their wide distribution, and also check whether they are published on a recognized online platform. If the journal is published open access journal also, we have to now see whether it is it's on a good online platform, and also whether the content will be read by researchers and readers at little or no cost. This is very, very important. Check the journals for any publication similar to your research articles. And we have to use keywords to check journals which are related to articles published in the last 5 years, so that it will help to find the parameters for publishing such articles, and also it is enough proof for your article to be of interest to the particular journal. So suppose if you want to know that whether my journal or my article, my manuscripts will be accepted, you find out keywords which were published earlier in the particular journal. You put keywords and see, and whether your journal also will be accepted, your articles also will be accepted by a particular journal. Next is we have to check for the journals restriction, because many of the journals, they have limitations. So to avoid many rejections, what we need to know is whether we meet the word count, whether we are sending the correct type of article to the particular journal, and also we have to check the article processing fees. Many of the journals, not that all the restrictions are like for each journal, it is different. Some journals might publish manuscripts 4 to 5 pages if you send. Some journals will want only 2 or 3 pages only of your manuscripts. That's why I said before even you start writing, select a journal which journal you're going to send it. And this is about a point on predatory publishers. because due to the open access movement, there are many predatory publishers are now than before. And we know that predatory journals are not good. And how to identify predatory journals, you will be having a detailed session later, I think, in this series. What we should know that sometimes we get emails saying that your articles will be published, and you send your articles. Nobody is going to send the emails to us many times to publish our articles. So we have to now see whether the particular journal is a very good journal or a predatory one. And the journals which publish your articles within 2 to 3 days, there are some journals take less money and publish your article. So those kind of journals also we have to be very careful, because one important thing is, as I said, if you work on the last minute, then we are going to end up sending without knowing to these predatory publishers. So we have to be very careful. And also some of the features of predatory journals, what is, the website will contain spelling errors, grammar errors, if you look at the website of predatory journals. And images are distorted with low quality. And the description of manuscript handling process is lacking, and it's not clear if it is present. The manuscripts are requested to be submitted via email. They don't ask you to send it by post. And rapid publication of articles and rapid processing and publication charges are very low with these journals. And they also may fail to mention the copyright. So these are some of the points with which you can identify this, whether the journal is a good one or a predatory one. So coming to the point, like how I'm going to select my journal is, we have said all these factors we have to look in a journal, whatever we have discussed, the 10 points, rejection rate, the acceptance rate, the impact factor, the indexed, whether my journal is indexed, the scope of a journal, or the processing time, like all those aspects we have to consider. In addition to that, when we select a quality journal, we have to select the ISS and whether the number is there. We have to be very careful, because if you look at journal, if you have not seen the journal, you go back and see whether this number is there. And the journal should have a dedicated website. If the journal is going to be a very good journal, it should have a dedicated website. Check whether, before even you send an article, check whether this journal is having a dedicated website, and then check for the editorial board members and whether the contact details are given, and check the past issues, whether they are published regularly or not. Sometimes there's a journal will be there, but if you look at whether they published last year, they would not have published. But that's very sad to see this. But during COVID time, I'm sure that some of the journals, even very good journals, they were not able to publish it. So you need to find out whether it was during the COVID time. Otherwise, it is published. And check the publisher's address and contact details written on the journal website, and check the social media of the journal, that is editor regularly, whether they're updating their journal on the social media. Check the journal indexing in all major indexing agencies. That's very important. If you want to have a very good journal, you have to do this. Then the impact factor, then we have to review about the journal availability on Google or on social media. Then the publication policy, review policy, we have to see. And then the publishers' reorganization at various government and other authority portals. This is very important. Then collect information about the journal from your colleagues, professors, and in college library. If you don't know, suppose if you are a new starter, new person, then you can how will I know that whether my article or a manuscript to which journal it should go? You can get help from your colleague or from your professors or from the college librarians will be able to tell you which journal publishes which type of article. And another important thing is we need to prepare ourselves for multiple journal submission. It's not that once you send, your article is going to be published. We need to prepare even, it's not only for multiple journals. Suppose even to the same journal, we need to be very clear whether we are going to do the correction and send them again and again, 2-3 times also, they will expect us to do the correction. So best to prepare a format of your article to suit the specific target journal. That's what many of the books say. So before even you start writing your manuscript, select a journal and then write according to that. Then you should also consider your second and third journal. It's not that once you said, even if you send to one journal, it's not going to be published. So you select, if this journal is going to be, my article is rejected, so which are the second one I'm going to sell. That's very important. Then there are certain tools which are there, like Find My Journal, eDance Journal, Journal Selector will help you to identify appropriate journals. Whether your article, whether it's a concept article on particular aspect or a pediatrics or a maternity or a gynae topic, websites will be able to find out appropriate journals for your publication. There are more other journal tools all of us know, like Google Scholar, Web of Science. All these things are very familiar to all of us. And the ancient technique of now all this tools have come, but the ancient way of checking is what we have to look through the journals, and also we have to now see whether the reference column, whether any particular journal references section, if you see whether particular journal is mentioned, then you see whether the particular journal is according to your interest, and then your article, whether it will fit into it. And also the other important thing is speaking to our colleagues in the field is very, very important, because they will know that they would have sent earlier and they would have got rejected. So they will be able to advise on these aspects so that we can help each other looking for a particular journal for our manuscript. So quick, the conclusion point is, we have to know the topics the journal publishes. That's very important. This is the same points what we discussed. And the journal audience, that is who I'm going to attract. And the type of articles the particular journal is publishing. This is very important, because some journals don't publish case studies. Some journals will not publish concept articles. So we have to know this. Then the reputation of the journal, then the personal requirement. This already we have seen this. This I put as last point. So these things are very, very important. And as my personal experience, what I can share with you is journal publication, though it looks difficult, it is not difficult at all if you work towards publishing, like aiming towards getting your article to be published. And there are many journals that are available, even in nursing, it's all coming up. And you need to identify whether the type of manuscript is fitting my manuscript is fitting this particular journal. And sometimes, as I said, because nursing journals are now in our country, it's coming up. And but there are a lot of abroad nursing journals are there where you can publish, and many of people have published journals. So we need to, as is one important take-home message from this half an hour talk is, you need to know your journal before you start writing. That's very, very important. Whether it's going to be American Journal of Nursing, or whether it is going to be Florence, even our TNA journal, what do they expect? Then write according to that. That's what it's very, very important. So I take this opportunity to thank the organizers for giving me this 40 minutes. We were talking about selecting a journal for my publication. So we have to look into all these factors before you start writing.